I got a new job with a 1-hour train commute, and so I built myself a synth setup to synth on the train. As you can see, it consists of the MC-101 Groovebox and the SMK-25. It's super portable, battery powered, very few cables, and I'm really loving it. So in this video, I want to briefly talk about how this entire setup works and how to best leverage the two devices together. It's not a detailed introduction into the MC-101. I will link up here a playlist with lots of videos explaining how the 101 works. Same for the SMK-25, linking a playlist up here to get you introduced into each of these devices. What's cool about this setup is that I have the ability to use an actual keypad. I'm still a very much beginner in the keyboard world, so trying to play a chord, I don't know, that's too much for me. I can deal with this much better. Also, the pads are a little bit bigger, so that makes it a little bit easy to do stuff up here. Obviously, currently I don't really have a proper track selected. But let's get into a little bit more details of the setup itself. Yeah, maybe one thing I also forgot to mention, I do have a 30-degree stand here. I will link in the description where to buy that. It just makes the entire setup even more compact. Most importantly, it makes it much easier to read the screen rather than having it flat and further away from me because the keyboard is right in front of me. I can, on the SMK-25, configure everything according to up to 8 presets. I will show how that works in a moment. Right now, what I have is preset 5, which I've set to the auto channel. So this is, if you hit shift filter, if you go into settings and you scroll very far down, you can set the auto channel. So I've set it to 15. So preset 5 sends everything to channel 15, meaning that I'm playing whatever is currently selected. So that's pretty nifty. But again, I can also choose the exact track I want to play. So preset 1, track 2, 3, 4. 5 I mentioned before, and preset 6 is actually a little bit more special. So 6, 7, and 8, what they do is they actually map the pads to drum track 1, but the keyboard is then mapped to the relevant track 2, 3, and 4. So with that setup, I can, really play out, record into the sequencer. So I can then, of course, play chords. This entire setup is actually really cool because I can also use the Arpeggiator and the chord mode from the SMK-25, which is, to me, a little bit more convenient than trying to use the chord mode on the Roland MC-101. I should note, however, of course, the chord mode and more importantly, the chord designer obviously lets you do other stuff that isn't possible from here. But in that sense, they really complement each other really well. So let's get the Arpeggiator going. So you can control the note intervals. So that's pretty cool. You can then also enable the chord mode, just mess around with that. So that's, obviously you can do pretty crazy stuff with an Arpeggiator. So let's turn that off. Actually, maybe let me show you one more thing. So obviously you can also use the pitch and mod wheel for this. This thing actually also has a pedal connector. Obviously on the train that's a little bit less relevant, and you can map out all the knobs, which I will detail in a second. Yeah, the arpeggiator actually can be synced to the tempo. So if I hit the tempo here, I can, slow down the tempo directly from the MC-101. And yeah, so this way you can have everything in sync. Let me maybe show you how to use, let's go to preset 8. So in preset 8, I have the horn blast, but I also have the drums on track 1. So if I now want to record into the sequencer, I can do this by playing notes, but I can simultaneously also play into the drum tracks. So this is really cool. I can play any chord I want into the sequencer without first having to select a single note. So that's a way more flexible than just on the MC-101. What I can also do is I can actually launch clips on here as well. So if I hit MCP, I go into this mode, and here I basically mapped out, this is the first 8 clips, and these are the first 8 scenes. So if we go to the clip view, here I can just, switch clips, and same thing with scenes. I can just switch them back and forth. Unfortunately, as you can see, there's no visual feedback. I can also not, access the additional banks. So that's quite limiting, but yeah, for a little bit of jamming on the train, it gets the job done. So how does it work technically? As you can see, I'm using the WIDI Master here to connect via Bluetooth to the SMK-25, and really it just works. So you just, if you power on the SMK-25, power on the MC-101, it draws power from here. And the WIDI Master is in auto connect mode. So as soon as it has a Bluetooth device, a MIDI Bluetooth device, it will just pair up with it. So the tricky bit is if you have another WIDI jack connected and hooked up, it will also auto connect to that. If you have an iPad or other device that you've paired with this, the iPad would connect first. So you would have to disable Bluetooth there or forget the device on the iPad in order to get the connection between the two devices. What's nice is that once you do have a connection here, you could power out other devices that have been paired to the WIDI Master, and it will not break that connection once it has found that connection. There is another approach to connecting the two devices, and this would be to actually proxy it via an iPad. So for example, on an iPad or iPhone, you can run the MIDI Mirror app, which allows you to route the Bluetooth signal through the iPad to another device. So if you very frequently also want to connect the WIDI Master to your iPad, that might be a more convenient option. So now let's look into how this is all configured. And here it gets somewhat confusing. M-Wave basically offers 2 bits of software. One is called the MIDI Suite and the other is called the Cube Suite. Both exist both for desktop and for iOS, and I think also for Android. But they actually don't all connect to the SMK-25. On OS X, you need to use the MIDI Suite app, but not the Cube Suite app, because it no longer supports the SMK-25. On iOS, it's the other way around. The Cube Suite app connects to the SMK-25, but the MIDI Suite app does not. So that's a little bit confusing. I usually do the mapping on desktop, and that's because on desktop, you actually get some additional functionality that you don't have on the iPad. Specifically, you get the export and import buttons, which is huge in order to be able to map out, for example, the drums only once, and then re-import that for all the different tracks. What is a little bit annoying is that you will then have to go and change all the channel mappings for each single button. each single knob in order to get it to send to the right channel. I sent a feature request to M-Wave and they told me that they're looking into it to be able to more quickly change all the channels on a preset in one go. But so with this software, I was able to map this out. And as you can see here, I have a little bit of a color coding to show you or to show myself a little bit how everything is mapped. So moving over here, so this is the Roland MC-101.top webpage. So this basically explains all what is possible with the MC-101. If you don't know this website, I will link in the description and you should definitely check it out if you own an MC-101. But this page lists all the different control change options you have, the pads and things like that. I did run into a couple issues. So the first thing is that the pads, as they were mapped on the SMK-25, didn't work if I used the notes here. So I had to pitch everything, I think, up or down. But then everything worked. I then structured the color coding so that it kind of is structured according to this video up here that explained how Roland kind of structured all their drum tracks. So essentially, you have your rim shot up here, your clap, hi-hats, cymbals, the kick, snare, toms, and then your percussion sections. They're not, especially like sometimes percussions is maybe just 3 and toms is maybe also just 3, but roughly that's the structure. So this visually helps me a little bit on the drum tracks. So for the knobs, I really didn't do that much thinking yet. I'm really not advanced enough to be able to use all the features on the 101. But yeah, these are endless encoders, so you can map them to whatever you want. What you noticed before already is that obviously with you type the MCP, you get not only the 16 pads, but also those 8 knobs will also change. So you can, have a total of 16 knobs and 32 pads, 2 mod wheels, the pedal. So that's quite a lot of action you can have. Yeah, let me show you a little bit more about what is important when you want to map this all out. So going back into utility, there are a couple things that are important. So I already showed auto channel, which I set to 15. The other thing that is important is if you want to be able to change scenes, you need to enable the control channel. So you need to set that to on. I had that set to off, so for a while it wasn't working until I finally figured this out. And then obviously here you can set the control channel itself. So control channel for me is 16, auto channel is 15, and then channel 1 through 4 is each of the tracks. So what's missing in the setup? You can't map all the buttons. So the transport control, I have not figured out. According to Roland support, you need to send system real-time control messages. I actually don't even know a single MIDI controller that does it in the way that Roland accepts. Maybe a Roland keyboard will, but my Akai keyboard does not, and I have not figured out how to do it with the mapping software on the MIDI Suite app. The MIDI Suite app does send syscontrol, but that's not supported by the MC-101. But you need to access several buttons on here anyway that can't be mapped, so it's not possible to tuck away the MC-101 and still be able to use or to be able to do everything anyway. So yeah, it's no big deal. So I'm just using the transport controls right on here. I don't know if Roland has any plans to do another firmware update, but yeah, in theory, they could definitely add some more MIDI mapping possibility to some of the other buttons. What probably is the main or the biggest thing that I would love to see is some way to be able to have visual feedback here on the clips selected, on the scenes selected, and maybe even page through the different scene banks. But yeah, there you have it. I'm super stoked about this setup. Everything connected via Bluetooth just makes my life so much easier because I really hate cables. Here are a couple of images of how I pack up everything into my bike bag. And so I can take my bike with this setup on the train. And this bike setup, you can ask me for some more details. I made specifically sure that it has very few cables. I also wanted to show briefly this case I bought from Magma. So in here I can fit the MC-101. I can fit the stands. They just fit in here. I can also fit in another set of spare batteries. So that's great. I also have a bag for the SMK-25. So this is this bag here. As you can see, it's too big, but it's not so bad because, you know, you can still stuff it into the backpack and crunch it a bit. Or you can, of course, have some more space for additional cables or something else to put in the bag. Yeah, this, you know, is exactly what I want and need in order to find the time to, you know, work on my synth game while I commute from and to work. I will upload and add a link in the description for the preset so that you don't have to go through and map the drum tracks if you know, like how I arranged everything here. And so happy to hear some feedback on how other people are using similar setups when they travel around, and yeah, and enjoy synths on the go.